Alright, hello everyone, I'm your host Dreadwing here with a small announcement for everyone. I started up my own Discord server. If you can, please join the Discord server, join where uploads will be posted, a poll of which fanfic gets to go next, and you get sneak peeks of which video or which story goes up, or any type of video game that you want me to play. So please join the Discord community and be mindful of the rules. And now onto the video.
Chapter 2. Vaggie sat on the bed trying to pick the lock on the shackle around her foot with a bobby pin. All her weapons had been confiscated and the few items the large, bare room had were not capable of breaking the chain, so she spent almost an hour trying to pick the lock around her foot with a bobby pin. But it was no use. The lock wouldn't budge. Vaggie threw the broken-up bobby pin on the floor in frustration and sat back against the bed's headboard. There had to be another way out. There just had to be. There was no way in hell that she was going to spend her eternity as Alastor's love interest. "Vaggie, sweetheart," said the annoying voice of Alastor. Vaggie sat up and looked around, but the radio demon wasn't anywhere. "Over here," Alastor's voice said. Vaggie turned her head and realized that to her astonishment Alastor was speaking to her directly through the radio. "Now that I have your attention, I must ask you not to leave your garbage on the floor," Alastor said. "It is most unsanitary. There is a garbage can at the end of the bed. Please use that instead. Thank you. Also, please pick up that book you left on the floor." Vaggie's heart skipped a beat as the radio went silent again. Alastor had somehow been keeping tabs on her the whole time. She looked around desperately but saw no sign of a video camera. Then, it clicked. The radio. The goddamn radio. Vaggie knew what to do. In a fit of rage, she picked up the radio, pushed open the window, and threw the radio out as hard as she could. She went back to the bed as she heard a loud crack on the ground and a familiar scream. Vaggie heard a familiar voice yell, "Hey! Watch where you throw that shit." Vaggie ran back to the window as quickly as she could to see Angel standing on the ground outside the giant manor hyperventilating. She couldn't believe it. "Angel!" Vaggie yelled in surprise. "Up here." Angel looked up at Vaggie, grimaced, and said, "How do ya like that? I search all over hell for you and you throw a radio at my head." "Angel, thank God. How the hell did you find this place?" Vaggie asked in relief. "Hell hath no fury like that of a lover's scorn, Vaggie." "What? I can't believe Alastor kidnapped you instead of me. I mean, seriously. I flirt with the guy for months and he turns his attention to you. It's unfair. That is like my biggest fantasy. Whatever. Look, Angel, I don't know how long we have, so can you get me out of here please?" "Of course. Why the hell do you think I came?" Angel asked. "Can you jump to me? I'll catch you." "I can't," Vaggie replied with a sigh. "My foot is chained to the bed. I've tried picking it for about an hour. It won't budge." "Oh, my God," Angel whined. "He's even fulfilling that fantasy." "Angel," Vaggie pleaded nervously. "All right, don't get your taco in a twist, babe. I'm coming," Angel said as he began climbing up their wall with his spider abilities. "But you owe me. If you get me out of here, I'll give you whatever the fuck you want," Vaggie said, sitting herself down on the windowsill and letting her feet dangle over the ledge. Unfortunately, that was when she heard someone unlocking the door. "Shit," Vaggie said quietly to Angel. "It's Alastor. Angel, you need to hide." Angel responded by camouflaging himself to blend in with the wall. Huh. Vaggie never knew he could do that. "Vaggie, dear," Alastor said, swinging the door open before he walked in with Rosie following behind him. "What do you think you're doing?" Looking outside at the forest, Vaggie retorted as she pulled her legs back inside and placed them on the ground as she leaned back against the windowsill. "Is that a problem?" "Yes. Alastor said, walking over to her and leaning over so that they were looking each other in the eyes. And I regret to inform you that's not the only problem we have here. You see, your bobby pin and your book are still on the floor, and you have broken the radio I so generously gave you. What do you have to say for yourself? Vaggie glared at him for 1 second in silence before she spat saliva in his eye. Alastor winced but didn't change his smile as he stood up and wiped his eye. Disgusting. Rosie rebuked. Young lady, have you any manners? Not for 2 psychopaths who kidnapped me. Vaggie retorted. You two can go fuck yourselves. This attitude is not acceptable, Rosie said angrily, walking over to Vaggie and pulling on the strap of her dress. You should apologize to your host right now. Hell, no. Vaggie said, pushing Rosie off her. Just let me go. Without another word, Alastor gently pushed Rosie to the side and squatted down as he unlocked the shackle from Vaggie's ankle. Vaggie stood there stunned and Rosie interjected, Alastor, dear, what are you doing? Alastor nonchalantly unlocked the other end of the shackle from around the bed's foot and flashed a huge creepy smile. Then suddenly, before anyone could even blink, Alastor put the larger shackle around Vaggie's neck. Hey! Vaggie yelled, pulling as hard as she could at the new collar around her neck. What are you doing? As I said before, Vaggie, my dear, I intend on making you mine, Alastor said calmly, crossing his brows and maintaining his smile as Vaggie pulled at her chain as hard as she could. I do not appreciate this disrespect and disobedience. As my future lover, I expect more from you. So, if you want to act like a wild animal. Alastor paused to pull Vaggie's chain until they were looking each other in the eyes before he finished. You should expect to be treated like one. Alastor, dear, why don't we bring Vaggie to tea with us? Rosie suggested. I'm sure we could settle all this over a nice cup of tea. Great idea as always, Rosie, Alastor replied, wrapped Vaggie's chain around his hand and letting go of some slack. Alastor tried pulling Vaggie behind him, but she reached for the chain and started pulling back. Vaggie pulled back as hard as she could before Rosie grabbed her wrists and pulled them behind her back. Nah, Rosie said playfully as she conjured a rope out of nowhere. Vaggie tried pulling her hands out of her grasp, but Alastor came behind her and pulled her hair hard from behind, disorienting Vaggie long enough for Rosie to tie the poor moth demon's wrists together securely behind her back. There, that's a good girl, Rosie said affectionately, rubbing Vaggie's hair. A brilliant idea as always, Rosie, Alastor complimented before Vaggie launched herself at him. You goddamn psychos, do you really think you're getting away with this? Vaggie asked, lunging at Alastor angrily again. You told Charlie what you were doing. She doesn't care if you sponsor the hotel. She's not giving up until she finds me, and when she does, you won't be able to oppose her, you despicable mother mile per hour. Alastor tied his black handkerchief around Vaggie's mouth to gag her as he replied, I'm aware of that, dearest. That's why starting tonight I'm going to be working from home. Now, come along. Let's go get that tea. Vaggie pulled back against the chain as Alastor pulled it, only for Rosie to push her forward into the hallway. Thank you, Rosie, Alastor said before turning to Vaggie and pulling her chain down the hallway. Allow me to give you a tour on the way to the tea room, Vaggie dear. This home was designed by my colleague and inspiration, H. Holmes. In case you don't know, he's America's first serial killer. He's most notable for constructing a murder-minded hotel for the Chicago's World Fair and luring many innocent young women to their deaths. Ha 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 ha. Angel peeked over the windowsill for long enough to see Alastor and Rosie cruelly drag Vaggie out of the room. As soon as they had shut the door and gone, Angel conjured his spiky bat and his machine gun along with all the other weapons in his arsenal that he could manage to carry. Don't worry, Vag, Angel said. I'm coming. If there's anything I know, bondage ain't fun unless it's consensual.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video / gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!